Hi there, it's Laura here from Planners, and today we're going to talk about how to organize a small kitchen. Tasha on my team has just moved into a new apartment with a smaller kitchen, and I'm going to let her show you how she organized it.
Hi guys, I'm Tasha from Planners, and I am really excited to share with you today some of my very best kitchen organization and storage hacks, especially if you're dealing with a kitchen that is a little bit on the small side, especially for what you're trying to use it for, and you don't really know where everything is going to fit in. That was me when I started in this kitchen, and so I am so excited to share with you some of the things that I've done, and I really hope that if there are some things that I missed, you comment below and let us know, because I want to know what you're using, because I might want to use that in my own kitchen. But we are going to jump right in talking about what to do with some of those big appliances like a crock pot or an instant pot or even an electric skillet that you might use on a somewhat regular basis, but you need off your counter space and out of your hair whenever you're not using it, but it still needs to be easily accessible for those quick weeknight dinners. So let's jump right in. So an unexpected space to find some extra kitchen storage, especially for those big appliances, is up here above your refrigerator. A lot of times refrigerators do not go floor to ceiling, and you have this empty space up here where you can store the heavier appliances. Your refrigerator can hold them just fine. They're out of the way, but they're still pretty easily accessible. Now I will tell you, I'm standing on a little step stool to be this close to these appliances, but you can get step stools very cheap and they fold up nicely. I actually tuck it in between the wall in my refrigerator when I'm not using it, and I also use it to reach some other higher up things in my kitchen. But items like your Instant Pot, I have a skillet, I have a crock pot up here. If you have a kettle or a multi-cooker, up here is a great place to keep anything that is bigger that you want to keep out of the way but still easily accessible. Now, a big problem that you can run into in a small kitchen is not having enough drawer space. My kitchen has a big 3-foot drawer right here underneath my bar top, and then there is a drawer that's probably about 8 inches right here that I don't think could even hold a standard silverware holder if I wanted to put my silverware right there. So using unconventional wall space can actually make up for a lot of lack of drawer space. These utensils right here, they're just hung with a nail, and they are not just for decoration. I think they look pretty cute hung up against the wall, and so I love storage solutions that actually look good whenever you use them, but it is super handy. I can just hang all of my utensils right here on a little nail in the wall. It looks cute and it saves so much drawer space because all of those utensils are now not taking up space in my very limited drawer space. And they're also not all together in a canister on the counter because I really need those countertops for baking and cooking and having as much space as possible. So I love having those there. The other thing that I did was hang these spice racks with little spice jars. And as a side note, it makes them fun and cute if you put them in little mason jars with a label on them. This is cut out with vinyl on a silhouette. And very easy in this case to tell the difference between cinnamon and cumin because you do not want to mess that one up. But these little racks, I believe they were $4 from the Container Store. And they're holding all my spices nicely here. I keep a couple of spices up here that come in bigger containers that aren't going to fit in a little spice jar or that are just abnormal. I have some rubs and seasonings I keep up there, but your typical spices I just keep right here. Then the other thing that typically gets kept in a drawer is your oven mitts and your towels. And so I hung a basket here above my kitchen sink and folded up towels to put in it. I made it match my colors, and actually these towels, if I run out of towels, it'll be handy to have them, but I tuck folded towels back behind them. And these are more for decoration because they match my kitchen colors, but you can for sure use the towels that you put in this basket right here, and they can look really cute whenever they're all folded up together. So look for ways that you can use the wall space, things that you can hang on the wall. A lot of utensils come with that little notch that you can just hang them on a hook or on a nail. If you can't use nails, command strips are great. They make command hooks that you could hook them on, and I use some of those in some other places in my apartment too. So be on the lookout for how you can use that wall space to take things off your counter and out of your drawers. Before I show you exactly how I lay out my one big kitchen drawer, I want to show you my favorite kitchen organizational tool that I purchased. And that is the Joseph silverware and utensil organizer. I got it at the Container Store. And the really cool thing about this is that it stacks all of your silverware in this little 4 to 5 inch section right here, and then leaves you all this space for other utensils to be organized. You just slide your spoons in here and they go nicely underneath where your forks will go and underneath where your knives will go, and then your small spoons can rest up here. And typically your silverware organizer is going to take up probably at least this much width. This is half the width of your typical silverware organizer with plenty of room for organizing other utensils. So we will be leaving the link down below, and if there's one product I recommend from everything in my kitchen, it is this Joseph silverware organizational tool. All right, this is a quick look at how I organize the one big drawer in my kitchen. And my number one tip, if you have a big drawer space that you're trying to organize and keep your utensils contained, is to have a container to contain them. The point is not to open the drawer and for it to look like nobody ever cooks here, for everything to have an outlined place. It's for you to be able to find what you need so that everything isn't jostled around and you don't want stuff popping up and keeping you from being able to open the drawer. But if my utensils switch places in their general location, it is really not the end of the world. They are still in the same area. I still know where to go to grab them, and it looks totally fine. So just keep everything contained in an area. Don't worry so much about the exact layout of your items in that area, because most of these kitchen items, they don't fit together like a puzzle. They're made by different people, they're for different purposes, and so they just need a place to go where they can look reasonable. It doesn't have to look like art in your kitchen drawers. Another tip that I have is if you are storing your rolling pin in your drawer, make sure that it's nestled between two things that are going to keep it from rolling around and messing up everything else in the drawer, because it will roll around when you open the drawer if you don't have it nestled between things that are going to keep it still. This is another Joseph product. I promise that we are not sponsored by Joseph, but they make some fantastic kitchen products. These spoons and utensils all snap together on top of each other, and that just saves so much space in this drawer. This is 4 different utensils all set right here, hardly taking up any space at all. They also have that notch up there if you'd rather hang them on your wall, but that is the space-saving hack of the century, I believe, to be able to get your utensils to stack on top of each other. And lastly, these underneath my knives are cutting mats from IKEA. I got 2 of them for $2, so they are incredibly affordable, and it just completely cut out the bulk of any cutting mats. They're about the thickness of a piece of cardstock. And so I just set my knives on top of them. It keeps my knives a place to go, but they take up no room and they're flexible, so I can just slide them out whenever I want to use them. All right, I know that it's a little bit tight down here, but I wanted to show you as best I can my under the bar top cabinet and how I utilize my cabinet space to the best of its ability. So the first thing to note, I know it's gonna be pretty close to y'all, I have an over the cabinet basket right here. I hold my handheld mixer and my grater in this basket right here. And these over the cabinet baskets are great because whenever you set stuff down in a cabinet, typically the space above it is not being used for any storage because you're not going to set something, this is my George Foreman, I don't put something on top of my George Foreman, I need to be able to grab it. But whenever you can use a basket over the door, it's going to fill this space right here whenever I close the door, and I still get to utilize that space. Another great way to use that space is to hang things on the sides of your cabinets. I have my strainer over here. It's hung by its handle on a little command hook on the side of the cabinet, and it really helps fill that vertical space. Deeper in my cabinet, I'm using the Container Store's wraps and sandwich baggies organizer where you can stack them all together. And the other thing I do to save space is get matching nested food storage containers. I have, I believe, 11 food storage containers, and they take up about the space that one big food storage container would take because they all stack inside of each other instead of having to set them all next to each other and taking up all of that space. So as with everything else in your kitchen, anywhere that you can use vertical space, it is going to seriously save you the space. It's going to save you the room that you need for the other items that you need to be able to grab really quickly. All Alright, so I wanted to give you a quick peek into where I keep all of my pots and pans. I love using command hooks, so I use a command hook to keep my lightest saucepan hanging right here on the door, and my other two saucepans are leaning up against either side of the cabinet. My largest saucepan is in the very back. Now you want to be careful with putting stuff behind other things. Anything that you're going to use more often, you want to make sure that it is easily accessible towards the front, because if it's not easily accessible, you're either not going to use it or you're not going to keep it organized. So just make sure that your system is working for you. It matters that your kitchen works, not that your kitchen looks like an Instagram perfect kitchen. Then there on the top, I'm using a lid organizer to keep both my frying pans and a few of my lids organized. And in this little tiny cabinet right next to my oven, I can store 6 pots and pans with their lids. This is one of my favorite spaces that I created in my kitchen, and it serves as a little coffee bar entryway and also as a really nice china cabinet. It was not something that I was ever envisioning having in my kitchen, but I did not have the cabinet space to keep all of my mugs, all of my dishes, and my cups and my plates in the cabinet. So I had to get creative. I got this little shelf rack for $25 from Target. And then I don't even remember how much my hanging shelf was, but it was probably not any more than 15. And I created a little coffee bar. All my coffee stuff sits right here. It's right in the entryway, but it doesn't look in your face. It just looks like a nice inviting coffee bar. I put some candy in this little tote right here by the door so people can come in and grab candy. I keep my diffuser right here, so if I want to diffuse any oils, they can be right as you walk in. You can be greeted with the most pleasant smells. And I keep all of my dishes and my cups and my plates on these shelves underneath, and all of my mugs up here. I also use it as a kind of entryway command center. I hang my keys and my sunglasses right here so that they're right by the door, so it really serves a double purpose for me. And if you have any space to put this extra shelving, you can do some really creative things. I just used a really cheap shelf liner to make up for the holes in between the wire that was making the shelves so that everything can sit smooth, and I really love it. So one of the biggest problems you run into when organizing a small kitchen is cabinet space for a pantry, because this kitchen, let me tell you, definitely didn't come with a pantry. And sometimes when people are designing kitchens, I wonder if they forget that we actually need to keep food in our kitchen as well, and not just kitchen appliances. So the question comes, where are you going to put all of your food, all of your appliances, all of your dishes when there's no pantry? So I'm going to show you, these cabinets are my pantry, and I think you're going to be surprised at how little is in them right now, because I've been able to farm out what would normally be in these main cabinets to other places in my kitchen so they can be all pantry. And the other thing to note, the less you buy, the more pantry space you're going to have. I know we have this tendency to buy things because they're on sale, or to buy things because we really think we're going to use them, but then something came up and you didn't cook that meal and you never got around to it. I would highly recommend anything that is in your pantry that is expired or spoiled in some way, get rid of it. It is taking up space. You are never going to use it. Go ahead and let it go. There's no guilt, no shame in that. Just go ahead and let it go. You're going to be a lot happier when it's not taking up pantry space. The other thing is, there are some ingredients you probably realize you're just never going to use. They're perfectly good ingredients. Sometimes they're still in the box, but you just realize, I am really never going to use this. See if you can find a friend or somebody who could use it. Get it out of your pantry, gift it to somebody who could use it, and that's going to free up your space so that the less that you can keep in your pantry, the more space you're always going to have for the things that you need. So this is my pantry, and it's not even full. And that is because I've been able to put the dishes that would have gone in here elsewhere. I've been able to put all of my coffee supplies elsewhere, and I put my baking goods elsewhere. And I'm going to show you where in my kitchen I put each of those things. My one note about a pantry, I would recommend for items like onions, coming up with some sort of container that has a solid bottom to keep them in. I keep my onions in this cute little crate that says lemonade on it. I got it at Target for $3. But the onions or garlic, anything that has that skin on it that can come off, it can make a really big mess really quickly. So if you keep it in something that has a hard bottom, it is so much easier to clean up later. A great place to look for some extra pantry storage is up above your cabinets. This space typically gets forgotten, just collects a lot of dust and grime, but you can make it look very beautiful and make it very functional for you as well. You don't have to just make it look like you threw a bunch of stuff on top of your cabinets because you didn't know what to do with it. In this case, I just got matching cheap plastic containers from Walmart, and I put labels on them and put all my dry baking goods in them. And so those goods are not taking up space in my limited shelf space, and I did not have to shell out all the money for OXO or Rubbermaid or Tupperware. Those products are amazing, and someday if my entire pantry is Rubbermaid or OXO, I will be very happy, but I do not want to spend $400 organizing my pantry right now. So if you are just looking for a way to make it look decent without spending the big bucks, get the cheaper Tupperware. If you've been keeping your dry goods in the bag in your pantry, you are not going to notice if your canisters are not airtight. So these were $3 to $4 each, far cheaper than what you're going to spend on some of those airtight containers. But if you do have them, I love those containers. I think they're beautiful. Above your cabinets is a great place for them to go. The other tool that I'm using above my cabinets is this can organizer right above my head. I don't have very many cans right now. I wish I could show you better how much this can hold, but it's 3-tiered and can hold about 2 rows, 3 to 4 cans deep. So that is so much cabinet space that has been moved above my cabinets into a confined area because we're using vertical space. The more often you can use vertical space, the more space you're going to save overall. One thing to consider when looking for extra kitchen storage is what spaces are close to your kitchen that you can store some kitchen related items in. And for me, that was this coat closet right here. I didn't have a good place to put my trash can, so I keep my trash can in the coat closet. I have a lid on it so I don't have to worry about it making the entire coat closet smell. And it really keeps my trash out of the way because I did not have the floor space in my kitchen to set a trash can anywhere. I also keep my aprons hung on a little hook right here inside the door, super easily accessible right off the kitchen. And if you happen to have something like a box of 225 sour straws that you'd like to keep handy, the shelf in your coat closet is a great place for sealed stuff like that too. I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough through my kitchen and how I organize and how I come up with ways to store everything in a really small kitchen. Like I said at the beginning, if there is something that you think is missing from this list, comment below because we want to hear it. I may well want to use it in my own kitchen, so we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think. And if you use any of these storage solutions, take a picture, post it in the comments. We want to see how it works for you in your space. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the iHeartPlanners channel if you want even more organizing goodness. And using this space up here, once again, instead of letting it So an unexpected space, especially if you've been keeping your flour and sugar and dry goods just in the bag in your pantry, you do not have to invest in airtight can. Now, if you have OXO or Rubbermaid or Tupperware that you keep your dry goods in above the counter, cabinet. It can hold your standard vegetable cans. I have my marinara sauce and my salsa in here right now, and it's 3-tiered, and it is holding cans all the way back. Oh my goodness. Okay. The other item that I have is this can organizer right above my head. You can see I don't have a ton of cans right now, just because I wasn't in need of very many canned goods, but it's a 3-tier can holder that can hold 3 to 4 cans deep on all 3 levels. Another great place to look for some extra pantry storage